Pakistan continues to provoke India. It's not just sending terrorists into India, not just sending fake currency into India, but Pakistan's Chief of the Army Staff, General Raheel Sharif, has said, and I quote, Kashmir is an unfinished agenda of partition. Pakistan and Kashmir are inseparable. Well, there's also hypocrisy in what he's saying. General Raheel Sharif has said that Pakistan is opposed to proxy war against other countries. He's added that he will not allow any country to wage a proxy war against Pakistan. General Raheel Sharif has said enemies of Pakistan are supporting terrorism to stoke sub-conventional conflict and destabilize Pakistan. He is fighting what many describe is a losing war against terrorists in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area, where Pakistan is taking on their bad terrorists, but Pakistan hasn't stopped its good terrorists, that's Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, against attacking India. But on this latest provocation, I want to bring in India Today's Smita Sharma. Smita, take us through the details and the context of General Raheel Sharif's statement that he says Kashmir is unfinished agenda of partition.
Well, Gaurav, General Raheel Sharif, who is the Chief of the Army Staff in Pakistan, he is addressing a lecture. He was, in fact, addressing people at the National Defence University this morning and was speaking about, in fact, what the Pakistan Army claims to be achieved in Operation Zarb-e-Azab, where they, of course, seem to claim that they have defeated a lot of terrorists who have been attacking Pakistani assets. And in this context itself, in fact, General Raheel Sharif then brought in the issue of Kashmir as well, saying that, Kashmir is an unfinished agenda of partition and that a just resolution in the light of the United Nations resolutions and as per the aspirations of the Kashmiris is what Pakistan calls for. Clearly, these are statements that have been coming in, and just a day after, in fact, India very strongly opposed those elections in Gilgit and Baltistan, calling it as a camouflage, in fact, attempt at trying to camouflage the forcible and illegal occupation of what India calls the integral part of Jammu and Kashmir. So, and then Nawaz Sharif also was raising that bogey, pointing fingers at India of trying to create disturbances. So all of these, in fact, need to be read. We have to connect the dots here. And Raheel Sharif's speech, though, is yet to come through. This is what we learned through the tweets that have been posted out by the ISPR.
Stay with me for a moment. Zarb-e-Azab is a Pakistan military operation in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area, where Pakistan Army has lost several officers and Jawans fighting terrorists they had once trained and armed. General Afsar Karim is a strategic affairs analyst and he watches Pakistan very closely. He joins me on the broadcast. General, what do you make of General Raheel Sharif's statement that Kashmir is unfinished agenda of partition, it remains Pakistan's jugular vein, and that they will continue to fight for Kashmir minus the proxy war? What do you make of this?
Well, he said nothing new, right? All the Pakistani generals are obsessed with Kashmir and been talking about this. It is unfinished this thing to an extent that it is to be settled in there to get out of POK. But that has not been achieved by India so far. But as far as the Pakistan Army is concerned, I don't think we should really take anything so seriously, except for the fact that they are admitting that they are carrying on a proxy war, illegal war there.
In fact, this remains very crucial, General. While General Raheel Sharif says that Pakistan Army is against proxy war, it's against this area, this entire region being destabilized by proxy war, his army continues to train, arm, abet and launch terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. And the recent example was seen just yesterday and 2 days ago in Tangdhar sector of Kashmir, sir. Yes,
and that is what they've been trying all over. And Tangdhar, I was commanding a brigade there. That's a well fortified area.
Yes.
And to try a thing like that there was to show that they are going to continue doing that, and of course they were killed and all that.
Smita.
But the fact is that Pakistan Army also should realize that they have failed to do anything in Kashmir for the last 40, 50 years. And it's a battle they've been losing throughout.
They have indeed. In fact, they're losing the battle in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area. That, of course, is not good news for anyone. But Smita, can this lecture of General Raheel Sharif at the National Defence University be dismissed as rhetoric and just things that he says at an educational institution for military studies, or is there more to it that meets the eye, especially when it comes to this fresh spurt in infiltration along Jammu and Kashmir line of control?
Well, Gaurav, for Kashmir has for the longest time been the glue for Pakistan. For Pakistan, civilian leadership too, of course, the military establishment as well. And interestingly, in fact, one of Raheel Sharif's speeches, center point here was also the civil-military cooperation, which he thinks can, in fact, make for effective fight against terrorism. So clearly, for Raheel Sharif, well, yes, Kashmir bogey has been raised time and again by Kashmiri leadership. Sartaj Aziz writing innumerable letters to the United Nations in the last many months. To, of course, Raheel Sharif, who is, in a way, the top boss, really, who calls the shots when it comes to the country's foreign policy, to, of course, the defense policy. So, and General Afsar Karim, in fact, is right in saying that, there is nothing really new in what General Raheel Sharif has said, because this has always been Pakistan's contentions. But, yes, at a time, in fact, when India-Pakistan relations have been deteriorating over the last few months, no official engagements have really taken place, no talks really have taken place, and even Nawaz Sharif has now started pointing fingers at India. Perhaps it goes on to show that what is the kind of directives that are now coming in fact, from the top bosses there in Pakistan.
And whether it is Raheel Sharif or Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, both of them extremely critical of what they perceive is India trying to destabilize Pakistan. Nawaz Sharif talking about the China investment aspect, that India complaining about this is because India doesn't want to see Pakistan prosper. And Raheel Sharif talking about states that are trying to destabilize Pakistan through terror. How does India read this? What are your sources in the Ministry of External Affairs saying?
Well, for now, what we can expect is the Ministry of External Affairs at some point in time will come out with a statement where they will, of course, reject all of Raheel Sharif's claims and come out with a statement once again reiterating that Jammu Kashmir is an integral part of India and that there is no contention about it. But clearly there is that political dispute which continues to, of course, simmer for all these years. And we saw India's statement, in fact, yesterday, which was a very strong statement of what earlier were called the northern, frontiers, and there the northern areas, which was renamed as Gilgit-Baltistan, and those elections being held there, where New Delhi has now, of course, taken that very, very strong stand and opposed it. So clearly, we can expect that statement coming in from MEA at some point in the day where they will reject Raheel Sharif's claims as well.
Now, is this just a verbal duel, General Afsar Karim, or is there more to this? Because there is verbal sparring that is on. There is also an engagement at the line of control where Pakistan has increased infiltration attempts. Just yesterday, Lieutenant General Subrat Saha, the Chinar Corps commander, said 200 plus infiltrators waiting to cross north of Pir Panjal.
You see, the point is it's been continuing. Nothing new about it. And the weather is changing now. We should expect infiltration. And whether one chief of the staff or the other army chief of the staff, Pakistan, they have the same mind. And they have not changed their mind. They have really ruined their own country.
They have.
And they are unable to do anything in Kashmir. And they should have realized by now that there are other ways of dealing with this subject, but they haven't seemed to be doing so.
General Afsar Karim, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. I want to bring in a keen Pakistan watcher, Sushant Sareen of the Vivekanand International Foundation. He now joins me. Sushant Sareen, General Raheel Sharif saying Kashmir is unfinished agenda of partition. Pakistan and Kashmir are inseparable. Kashmir remains Pakistan's jugular. This may have been said earlier, but in the light of what General Subrat Saha said yesterday, 200 plus terrorists waiting to infiltrate, in the light of what India has said about Gilgit-Baltistan elections, do you see a changed dynamics in the way the two countries are dealing with each other?
No, I think that the dynamics have been changing for some time now, and we have seen for the last more than a year now, almost 2 years now, there has been this steady ratcheting up of violence by the Pakistani side in Kashmir, also of rhetoric. And much of the rhetoric is, of course, over the top, which is as per the want of Pakistan. But the problem really for General Sharif is that I think he has opened a little too many fronts, and he's getting a little unsettled. That is one part of the problem. Partly, it's also a psychological problem with him. He was not supposed to be the person who was the most preferred chief. He wasn't the brightest of officers. So he's also trying to, in a sense, find his place in history. He has a family history of two of his relatives who have been awarded the highest gallantry award in Pakistan. So I think he's also trying to live up to this self-manufactured image. But purely on what he has said, he is right to the extent that Kashmir is the unfinished agenda of partition. But the only point of that agenda is that Pakistan is an illegal occupation of Kashmir. And until and unless that is vacated and Pakistan learns to live within its own borders, I am afraid this problem is going to continue to bedevil the relations between the two countries. The choice before Pakistan is whether it wants to live without Kashmir or it wants to die without it. I think that's the choice before Pakistan.
So because Pakistan is facing trouble in Operation Zarb-e-Azb in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area, it is desperately trying to once again shift focus towards Jammu and Kashmir. It's sending in more terrorists, it's trying to make more infiltration attempts, but this once again will prove to be fatal, not just for terrorists, but also for Pakistan as a state. We will continue to track this story very closely. Smita Sharma, General Afsar Karim and Sushant Sareen, for the moment, many thanks for joining me.